Hello, this is Natasha and
The Fugitive. Every week we talk about current topics from Russia and abroad, from the Russian perspective, from people actually in Russia, while we drink minion juice and coffee.
let's go. The major news we have for today is UN recognizes Palestine. The United Nations General Assembly has voted overwhelmingly in favor for creating the state of Palestine. So the US and Israel stay alone in all of this. Most of people, 142 countries supported the resolution.
And nothing will happen, though. I don't know. Are they going to give them a seat? I mean, maybe something will happen. Maybe they give them a seat in the UN now.
To Palestine.
I don't know. I mean, if the UN votes to do it, the problem is half the stuff the UN does is like thoughts and prayers. They just make declarations that have no binding effect. But maybe this has the effect of giving them a seat in the UN. I don't know.
This is interesting, actually, because Russia recognized Palestine before, always. And at the same time, Russia has actually very good relations with Israel. Like, we have abnormal amount of people that live there. And it leaves Russia like in a very interesting position, I would say. I was wondering, like, will they vote actually or no? But they chose to vote. I wonder how Israel reacts actually to all of this.
Oh, I'm sure most of them will say it's genocide on them or something. It's so hard to talk about Israel because, they're just, even if you try and frame it properly, it gets so completely out of hand that it's so difficult. And TikTok now updated their community guidelines as of September 13th. And it's like, a lot of the stuff on TikTok is like, don't say this, but if you talk about Israel, chances are your videos going nowhere. I can prove that how much I know.
In Palestine too?
Yeah, because it's all the same subject to them.
So why didn't they do the same with the Russia and Ukraine?
Because Russia doesn't have that much political power over the U.S. and U.S. companies. So
TikTok shifted to under American ownership. Did you see that?
Well,
way?
Yeah, that's a whole other subject we could get lost in. And that's a big play. It has nothing to do with national security. It has to do with Larry Ellison, who's the head of Oracle's son, is a rich boy who wants TikTok.
Yeah. That's exactly. But that's another topic to discuss actually later on. So Trump demands NATO allies halt Russian oil purchases.
And buy it from the U.S. instead.
Yes.
That's the problem. People don't understand is they're not buying from Russia, well, except for Hungary and Serbia and a few small ones. The European countries are buying Russian oil through India. So Russia sells it to India, and then India either refines it, sells it to Europe, or India sells oil that it would otherwise use to Europe, which is not Russian oil, but then buys its oil from Russia. So even if Europe gets off of Russian oil, they're just going to buy it from people who are going to sell them their excess oil and then just buy the extra oil from Russia. So even if it's not Russian oil, it's not having any effect. And Trump's whole plan here is that he wants to sell them oil just like he sold them liquid natural gas at like 4 times the cost. And the problem with American oil is it gets even worse, is that the oil that America drills, they don't use for themselves. They mostly use Canadian and other oils because the oil that comes out of the U.S., people think there's one oil. It's not. There's different types of oils, has certain pollutants and chemicals in it. And most of the oil the U.S. is pumping right now is, I don't know what it's actually called, but it's like a dirty oil. And it can't be refined easily.
We did similar stuff, Russia, we used to buy from Iran and help them basically to overcome sanctions before. But actually, Trump has a point here. Like, European countries are pushing on the U.S., like, go and help us, like, go help Ukraine. And say, okay, man, like, stop buying Russian oil, and I will help. That makes sense.
But 2 things. One, oil is a world commodity. If you buy it from one place, you take it away from somewhere else. It's like a global supply. It's like, peeing in the pool. And I'm going to take water from the other side of the pool. Well, it doesn't matter. You take enough water out, the water has to come from somewhere. And just because you're draining from one side doesn't mean it's not coming from the other side. And not only that, but Trump's part of his plan is he wants them to buy oil from him. You can't just magically increase production. The Saudis can increase production a little bit, but they can't fill the gap. Russia produces, I'd have to look at the numbers again, but it's like 12% of the world market. You can't replace that. There isn't production capacity. Even the Saudis and everybody ramps up stuff, they can only ramp it up by a small amount. You can't cut Russia off from the global market right now without basically killing the global economy. It would take years to replace.
They can, but it will like
it kill the global economy. It'll kill everybody.
It will hurt them as well.
Europe started buying all the natural gas up, and then Asian countries are like, all of a sudden gas is expensive. Where are we going to get it from? You're killing us. You're taking away the gas that we were buying. They were basically stealing it from developing countries. And those developing countries had no choice but to buy from Russia and other places because they weren't going to tank their economies. And that's what India is doing too, is Trump is telling India, oh, we're going to tax you. And India's like, it doesn't matter what you do, because if we stop buying Russian oil, our economy dies, just dead.
It won't die, but it will be very expensive for them.
With the developing markets they have and the things that their economy would completely, utterly tank. And India has done the calculation that they do far more trade with China than they do the US. So if they're going to pick sides, India is trying to play the middle. They do it very well, like Turkey does. But if it comes down to it, India will choose BRICS because, first of all, they're the eye in the BRICS.
No, the point is what I'm cheering to, like Trump is using this situation so clever. I mean, it's how to explain it. Yeah, he uses it like exactly like showing this hypocrisy of European Union, like you're shouting at us.
Yeah, to be honest.
Everyone else, but you financing Putin's war by yourself, you know?
If you count just the direct money, not even the indirect through India, I'd have to look at the numbers, and these can vary, but basically Europe spent about 25 billion directly to Russia last year, and they only gave Ukraine like 18.
Yeah. I saw this. I saw these graphs too. Even in the beginning of war, Russia profited more in 2022 from oil than before.
Yeah,
I remember this.
And that's part of the reason the ruble is going to weaken too, because if right now it's up about 83, 84, it was down below 80 for quite a while. It's from like 77 to 80. But the central bank actually wants it up closer to 100. They don't want it over 100. They want it somewhere between 93 and 100.
94,
because right now they sell oil in dollars. So if they sell $100, they get, 100 times 100. But if right now they get 100 times 83 or 84. So domestically, it's better if the ruble weakens a little bit. Not too much. We don't want, 1,000 rubles with a dollar. But back around when, at one point it was like 107 and so forth. So somewhere between 94, 95 is more natural.
Yeah, that should be better. 100 is too hard psychologically for people. That's why they don't like.
Okay. Yeah.
They don't like when this.
Not just psychological, but yeah. And the reason was because we talked about it before, but the dollar actually weakened.
Yeah, that's the problem.
We thought the weakening dollar would hurt Russia. Trump's like, I'm going to kill my own economy, take Russia with it. Not quite kill, but...
I said it in the beginning, if you want to fight Russia, you need to weaken the dollar, really. So Russia will not be able to profit from this oil, and gas. Because it will be too much.
What do we got next?
Italy extradites Nord Stream sabotage suspect.
But I thought Russia did the Nord Stream.
No, it was America or Poland. And then, anyway, They found in Italy, a court approved the extradition of Ukrainian national Sergei Kuznetsov to Germany. He's accused of involvement in sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline.
I'm a bit of an expert on extradition, as you know. If you hear the noise, it's the cat going into his toy box. Like the toy box to the cat. He's going to pluck it up.
He got stuck.
No, he's not stuck. He's just fishing out the toys. So yeah, extradition, basically, normally when a country requests you an extradition, you go.
Why to Germany?
Because he damaged a German pipeline. They committed crimes against Germany.
But he's Ukrainian national, so they're supposed to extradite him to Ukraine, no?
No. You go to where the crime is accused. You don't go to your home country when you get extradited. You go to whoever wants you. So it's like the Armenian thing I sent you. There's an Armenian that wants that guy. He will go to Armenia if he's extradited. You go to where the crime supposedly occurred.
So Germany will lead the investigation.
Yeah, and Germany's pretty hot about this. Despite all the talk, they were ready to buy Russian natural gas for at least, 6 months or a year, because that put them in a bind. Because basically when the Nord Stream blew up, they didn't have time to get off of Russian gas. It was like, oh crap, winter's coming. We need to do something now. And they needed to build huge, you can't just be like, oh, ship it by tank, because when it comes in by boat, you need a special terminal to decompress that.
Yeah.
And they didn't have those. And they had to build these terminals and these are not things you can normally build overnight. And Germany had to rush to build these things overnight. It costs, if the Nord Stream pipeline hadn't blown up, and let's say Germany still wanted to get off Russian gas, if they had 6 months to a year to do it, it would have cost Germany far less. But because they literally had to do it because the reserves were running out and winter was coming. And part of the thing that saved Germany was it was a mild winter. Had that been an average or a harsh winter, it would have been way worse in Germany. So Germany's hot about this.
So in World War II, hard winter saved Russia. And for Europe, 2022 winter saved Europe from freezing, actually, back then. Polish missile. Do you pronounce missile or missile?
I guess it depends if you're British or American.
I'm always
Either way is fine.
Okay. Polish missile
Rocket
incident. Так. Что там? Господи, it's written so weird here.
Yeah, so basically the 23 drones flew over Poland. NATO shot down 4 of them. And it's so funny watching the NATO people because they're like, oh, they weren't in any danger. They're like, why'd you shoot down 4 of them? Well, those 4 were in danger. Well, how did you know which 4 were in danger and which weren't? We just knew. All of them were decoys. Not a single one of them had any armaments. They're basically styrofoam duct tape, IKEA drones. And then you're like, why'd you shoot down those 4? Well, you short circuit the brain. So it's like, this was a major failure for NATO. No matter how you look at it, I don't care what side you're on. They didn't know if these had explosives or not. And they only took down 4 of them. They had no idea which ones were dangerous and which ones weren't. And then this house lost its roof. I mean, if you see the picture, basically the roof is gone. Now, fortunately, people watching TV are okay. It did not destroy the house itself, but it's going to need major repairs. And they're like, it was a Russian drone. And I'm looking at this thing like, if you've already admitted that none of these drones had any armaments, how did a styrofoam drone do that? I'm already thinking, well, it turns out.
Just fell.
Even a normal drone would not have done this. Even a drone that had armaments but didn't explode would not do that. Okay, it would leave a hole or something. This roof like gone. And so now it turns out, and today one of the Polish military people actually came out and said, yeah, it looks like it was an F-16 missile that fired, but fortunately didn't explode. So they sent it up. They shot down 4 drones and blew the roof of a house with an F-16 missile. And that's NATO's response. So were they a threat or this is an embarrassment for NATO. It's a huge embarrassment.
I'm just thinking.
And now Kiev's like, we don't know if we want NATO in because it might blow up Kiev instead of.
No, it happens. I mean, it's
I know it happens.
It's air defense, right? It's here and there.
This was not an air defense missile that fell. Okay. Yes, there was an air defense missile in Ukraine that fell in Poland a year or 2 ago, and they blamed Russian. And actually, I think 2 people died in terms of Ukrainian air defense. Air defense missiles fall. This was an F-16 guided missile which failed.
How it ended up there, then I don't understand. If it's not air defense, like they were shooting drones with.
They were shooting drones with F-16s, which happens, but it just. This is a complete embarrassment for NATO.
Oh, Mr. President,
even Ukraine's like, we shoot down like 95% of the drones and you shot down 18%. What's up? What's up, Poland?
Because they're not ready. They were not.
And it wasn't. No, they were ready. The thing is, it wasn't just Poland that scrambled F-16s. Italy had AWACS up because there were exercises going on in Belarus. Mm-hmm. They were already performing exercises in Poland. Like a huge NATO contingent was already in Poland. The Netherlands scrambled jets. Poland scrambled jets. Italy had AWACS up. There were multiple countries involved. I don't care how anybody paints it. I don't care if you support Ukraine, you support Russia. This is an embarrassment for NATO.
Well, they were just not ready for it. Now, right now, they're going to prepare. You see, they saw this.
Sure.
They saw all of this, and they are already buying something. They're buying some air defense. And probably this air defense Patriots or something are going to go to Poland instead of Ukraine. By the way, that's not a problem.
I actually talked about this. People were like, oh, Putin's just testing air defenses. That may have been it, but I actually I think he was trying to scare them into not sending their air defenses over to Ukraine. They're like, hey, those Patriots you're going to send to Kiev, you might want to hold on to them for a while. I think that's what's going on. The thing about the Patriots is the U.S. doesn't have production capacity. They have basically all the people that built Patriots are all retired. They're having to bring people out of retirement, and there's this long delay before they can actually start building Patriots again. So it's a big problem.
Still, it was an attack of like 800 drones were flying from Russia. It's an insane amount, actually. Can you imagine how much?
Russia ran out of drones and missiles like 3 years ago, according to the Western press.
Yeah. The point is, like, how much air defense do you need if these attacks will continue?
With the new war. And that's the thing is, World War I had tanks. World War II had, blitzkrieg. But every war has something different. And the big countries are often not ready for the changes. And we've seen that this is a war of drones.
It was predicted, actually, that's going to happen. But if there will be a world war of drones, I think none of us will succeed. It will be China. Because this is China who actually provides all the details to Ukraine and to Russia.
Russia's good with China.
And good and not good, but they provide parts to Ukraine. Here are, by the way, news related to that.
Well, Xi and Putin are pretty good friends. I'm not saying there's no issues, but in general, Russia and China are pretty good.
If they were so great friends, China wouldn't supply Ukraine, but they do. So I don't believe in friendship really here. It's partnership, it's whatever, call it, but there's no friendship in politics.
I get you. Yeah, China, but in general, Russia and China, politically, when it comes down to it, especially compared against the U.S. and Britain.
What we have news here related to
about the visa?
Yeah, it's that Ukraine drones supplied, that Ukrainians actually published data showing how many drones and components the country imports. 540 tons in 2023 and 1,376 tons in 2024.
Was that imports?
And 1,443 tons in first 8 months of 2025. And all of that parts are coming from China.
I didn't read this, sorry.
Not all of them.
I thought this was a satirical post. I thought they were collecting trash drones from Russia and finding the parts that came from China.
No. That's what I'm telling you.
But my point's even funnier because I thought they were importing them by trash drones.
No. For real, China supplies like 80-something % of their drone parts to Ukraine.
China can benefit from some destabilization because,
of course,
if they can bleed the West dry,
and Russia,
then they've got Taiwan, they can come to rise power, and they've got all these things. And so,
no, they don't need this war also to stop. They're profiting from both of it. And if Russia would crash Ukraine back in 2023, if they wouldn't supply drones, parts for drones to Ukraine, then, Russia wouldn't be that weak as it is right now. And they try to weaken it. So they are smart. The smartest, I think, here in the region is Chinese people in all of these conflicts. This is my personal point of view.
That's why when the U.S. is like, China, you got to stop buying Russian oil, China's like, yeah, okay, make us. You and whose army? And then Kellogg's like, we can beat the Chinese and the Russians. And everybody's all like, yeah, right. Just,
Yeah, it's a problem actually, because the American army is also, it's in some kind of crisis because they can't catch up with China really. Yeah. There are huge issues with that. So we have regional news. We already touched this info about import of Chinese parts and about refineries. Ukraine strikes Russian refineries. And we saw during this week all this news how Russia is going to collapse. And we have long queues on our gas stations. People can't get gas. And
there's no queues.
The winter will be cold, they say.
There's no queues here in St. Petersburg, but of course, this is St. Petersburg. As I understand, in some of the southern territories and like Vladivostok, there are some lines at independent gas stations. The major companies like Lukoil and those seem to be getting their gasoline.
Yeah.
It seems to be the smaller independents, so maybe some villages are having some lines and things. As far as actual impact, part of the problem here is Ukraine will hit a refinery and they'll blow up, sometimes they blow up something legitimate and it'll take the refinery down for a while. But sometimes they blow up a guard shack or blow up the fence or whatever. And they're like, we hit a refinery, took it offline. And really the refinery went offline as a precaution. It's back online the next day. Like the one here in St. Petersburg, they hit several times. But if it's offline, why do they keep having to hit it? The one over by Petrov.
Did it share?
I don't know, but it's over by Petrov called Maltysky Refinery. But the point is, they've hit this thing 6 times. Every time they hit it, it's offline. But if it's offline, why do they have to repeat hitting it? And this week, they hit it it's offline. Russia's in trouble. Petersburg have gas lines. And even the Russians were they hit a ship. It did some damage, but the refinery is back open. I didn't know whether to trust or not. But then a couple of days later, the Ukrainians released their own photo, it's offline, and you can see there's a ship. They hit the ship. They did minimal damage to the refinery. Did they hit it? Yes, but the refinery is going to be just fine, right? Same refinery has been hit, I don't know how many times. I've lost track. So sometimes they hit something legitimate, but they're counting, every time they hit a refinery, they count it as being offline forever. And if they hit a refinery 6 times, they count it 6 times. So legitimately, they probably knocked off about, depending on who you ask, between 15 and 20% of refinery production. What Russia's doing is they just increase the export. They make more money and they export it to countries like Belarus, who Ukraine won't want to hit. And the Belarus refines it and sends it back to us. So this is an annoyance. It is impacting things. But Anonymous came out and said, if Ukraine keeps at this rate in 50 days, Russia's going to collapse. This is not going to happen. it's just, they're creating all these false hopes, these false narratives that just, it's an annoyance. It's raised fuel prices slightly, but nobody here is panicking over this. Nobody.
At least not yet.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't change, but right now it's just an annoyance. And,
Yeah, it still affects the market. Like it affects also export, because they have to keep this oil for Russia for local domestic use.
no, what they're doing is they're actually exporting more to make up for the money and then re-importing the refined products.
They can't leave Russian market without oil too, if there's shortage in some regions.
Well, yes, but it gets exported and re-imported. Like Belarus is doing refining now.
Belarus, okay, it's from this side, but we have like China and India down
They're
there.
finding plenty of places to refine. Yeah, it does raise the price. This is not a heart attack. It's, it's some severe bee stings, but it's, to a person.
It's not something that's going to collapse the economy, let's say.
No.
But yeah, it's a severe thing. We can't deny that.
Is it causing visible complications? Yeah, but nothing major. Nothing,
no, we don't have queues. We don't have like lack of benzene here.
No, not at all.
Like I've seen, I lived in Egypt and I remember these queues. They had no crisis even, but we used to stand like for 2 hours just to get benzene there.
No, but look in the 1970s
no
when there's OPEC crisis. The U.S. had lines rationing people, and that was countrywide, and the U.S. survived that. So we're fine.
Yeah, it also makes me think. Like I checked the link of this anonymous or whatever on Twitter, and I checked the links, and it's written something like, "Yeah, there was queue, but we don't know why it was in news." And he's literally posting this link.
Some of the people just panic.
Is it related to shortage, or is just?
Some of it's like, "Oh, the refinery got hit over there. We should get gas." Type things.
I don't know. It's so weird. Anyway, it's InfoWars.
Like when I lived in St. Kitts, we had to get our gas from tankers that came. And sometimes the tanker wouldn't come because of weather or whatever, and people would queue up to get gas in case the gas stations ran out because, the tanker didn't come that week.
Well, there's another story, yeah. The poll, did you see that? New poll shows most Ukrainians reluctantly support a peace deal.
74%.
75.
Okay, I think those are around.
No, wait. That would... support peace deal that would freeze the current front line with Western security guarantees. At the same time, 75% say Russia's version of peace demanding Ukraine withdraw from Donetsk and abandon NATO is completely unacceptable.
Well, that's because there are two things. Russia's demands are not freezing the front line where it is.
They just want to get all the areas.
Yeah, so Russia's demands are farther. So what Ukrainians are saying is they're saying, listen, we don't want to fight on forever. We're willing to unofficially give up what's already lost and cut our losses. But Zelensky, on the other hand, is like, we're getting Crimea. So the problem is that the Ukrainian people are coming to a fairly reasonable middle ground, but Zelensky and the others are not still. But then you have to get Russia to come over to that too. But I think Russia, if the leaders of Ukraine came along and said, we're going to stop here, that it may not be exactly that, but that would at least be a negotiating position, which is not where the Ukrainian government is at now.
So what we can say, actually, both sides are not ready still for peace negotiations.
Well, but you're on the fallacy that there's two sides. There's really three sides here. There's the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian government, and the Russian position.
And
the Ukrainian people are closer to the Russian position, the point that if that's where the Ukrainian government was, that there could be negotiation to probably come to a final position. But the problem is the Ukrainian government is nowhere near that. The Ukrainian government is still living in fantasy land.
They say that 75% say that they don't want to abandon Donetsk and NATO.
But abandon and give up like Cyprus. South Cyprus still says North Cyprus is part of them, but they don't have control of it and they stop shooting each other.
But it breaks your argument that people's...
They're willing to let it go, but not officially. There's a difference.
So you doubt these polls?
No, I don't doubt the polls. I'm saying you need to pay attention to the discrepancies. If you ask people in South Cyprus, they're willing to let go to the north. They'll say no, but for 50 years, they haven't had control of it. If you ask people in South Korea, if they claim that North Korea is still part of theirs, I don't know where, because I don't follow Korea that much. But the point is there's a difference between accepting the facts on the ground and formalizing it.
For formalizing it is, it's a question to the state, not to people.
Well, yeah, but like North Korea, they still are officially at war, but they're not shooting each other. And that's how I said they're going to settle for a long time. And what's saying is that 74% of Ukrainians are like, listen, if we could stop the killing right now and just stop things where they are, that's good.
Yeah, last week, I think we made this, or the week before.
And the number keeps increasing.
There were polls that show that Ukrainians want they want the end of this war, remember?
And that's why Zelensky will not allow elections.
Oh, that's another story. Yeah, that's their political problems.
I know,
not
he blames
ours.
the Constitution, but listen, They already violated the Constitution several times when they wanted to. They could do it.
Yeah, it's forever.
They could find a creative way around it, like suspend the state of emergency for a week. They can do it if they wanted. So
it's up to them anyway. European Union wanted to stop processing visas for Russians.
Yes.
So they think that this is how they are gonna win.
Here's what I want to say.
Push Russians to protest.
During the Iraq War, in which the Americans and the British knowingly started a war on completely false pretenses, which they knew were false from the very beginning, and led to the death of between 500,000 and 1 million Iraqi civilians. European Union, did you stop Americans coming for tourism? Are you stopping Israeli citizens coming from tourism right now?
They will tell you this is whataboutism.
It's not. It's pointing out their hypocritical point. If you do one, but you didn't do the other, it shows you're a hypocrite. And it doesn't help anyways.
It doesn't really help anyhow.
Finland is hurting because of the lack of Russian tourism.
Rich people are still going to travel to Europe. I don't understand what they're fighting there. They're fighting usual people who actually...
Well, now they're saying that all Russian tourists are security threats and spies, like I am to Estonia.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, well. Anyway, they failed because Greece, Italy, Spain, France, and Hungary vetoed this measure. So thanks God, we are
and
our
even
friends.
Navalny, which we talked about last week.
Yes, even Navalny, she spoke
and they called her a Nazi or something. I don't know.
Ukrainians did.
Yeah.
Not
Ukrainians.
I mean, I can understand.
All these other Russians are like, maybe she's not that bad.
That's what I was talking. Remember when we made the first video, I told you that's what opposition must do. It must protect the interests of Russians, not Ukrainians, not somebody else. They must protect the interests of Russian citizens. And what exactly Navalny is doing? Молодец. This time she's молодец. Hated so much right now. Russian agricultural crisis. We've seen these headlines all over the week, and several bloggers even did videos on that. That Russian agriculture complex is gonna collapse pretty soon.
It's not going to collapse, but there appear to be some significant problems, which are not because Ukraine's probably trying to take credit. We did it.
No,
nothing to do with
because
Ukraine.
of our own stupidity.
Ukraine's like, we poisoned their seeds.
No. And this is unfortunate because actually the situation is really, really severe, unfortunately, because of a few reasons. One of them political. They took some wrong measures, took some wrong political decisions, let's say, and Russia basically lost the market for grain. We were leader in grain export. Thanks to our politicians, unfortunately, we are not anymore.
Well, it seems, I'll let you mostly, because I did look into this a little bit, but you know far more about this subject than I do. But for what it seems to me, the other thing it's going to be an annoyance. It's going to be a huge annoyance for the farmers. Some of the farmers are going to be hurt.
Already.
But I do want to say to the Ukrainians saying, Russia's going to starve. We're going to starve.
No, it's not going to starve, of course. It's not going to collapse. It's just going to lead to raise of prices. That's definitely because of many reasons. We don't have seeds that we used to import from Europe. I told you about this because Russia uses GMO, my friends. This news all the time are crazy for me when I listen to this. Like, Russia has no GMO. No, we were buying seeds from Europe before, from Denmark and Netherlands, I think, if I remember right. And that's how we used to get good harvest and good yield. Actually, it's the best seeds you can get. And right now, it's not them who stopped exporting to Russia, by the way, because of sanctions. No, they are ready to export, actually. But it's Russian government that forbade to buy these seeds from them.
Well, there's no sanctions on agricultural products because
it affects world markets.
Europe needs our fertilizer.
Yeah. Also, too. And it affects, actually, it can create really hunger. It creates hunger for real in, they don't need it in Africa.
That's absolutely true, but Europe would not starve, but Europe would be really big trouble with that Russian fertilizer. Not just a little debt, it'd be a huge debt.
Only Europe, but many countries buy it. Actually, it's cheap. That's why. So partly it's true, but it's not going to collapse, Russian agriculture.
So I have to eat a little less grechka in the morning.
I'm going to buy Chinese grain. You know that they plant actually this buckwheat. It came from China to Russia, which is interesting. But they eat green one. We eat this brown, which is like processed. I don't know how to call it. Not processed, it's fried.
Yeah, it's
dried
and toasted, I think. Roasted.
So there are good news. Flights resume. So finally, we start to have planes flying from south of Russia, which is on the sea, basically Black Sea to Moscow.
Near Sochi-ish. I mean,
Yeah.
Exactly, but yeah, Sochi-ish.
Since 2022, they canceled all the flights from there, from Rostov-on-Don and all this area because it was too close to Ukraine and planes were not flying. But you see, the first plane was greeted with the water arch and ceremonies. Arc and ceremonies at the airport.
Could be, actually, the tours can sometimes be interchanged. So it's probably an arch in this case. Arch, that's an arch.
That's right. And going back to China, we've got visa-free regime to China.
Cool. I still can't go, but cool. Yeah.
No, but soon you're going to get Russian passport and you'll be able to.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works. I already have more than one passport. Well, I know I don't want a passport, but I already have one citizenship. It's not how it works. But yeah, it's cool because we have so many Chinese tourists here. And China is starting to really market towards Russia as well. There's a whole like section of China, not a huge section. There's like a town or a city in China on the south where it's warm. There's beaches where everything's in Russian. And a lot of Russians go. And as you go there, I've seen videos of like everything's in Russian.
The one that borders with Blagoveshchensk, I think you mean?
No, this is further south somewhere. This is actually like a warm place. Yeah, some of the northern ones that are near Russia, there are a couple there where a lot of stuff's in Russian because they're exporting Russian products. This is actually a place in the warmer part of China down south that is marketing towards Russian tourists.
China itself, not bordering with
Yeah, China. They did so well that so many Russians came that basically it's like Cyprus used to be. Like, it's still China, but everything's in Russian because it's like I
saw North Korea do this. Like they were marketing to Russians.
Yeah, I mean,
Russians went.
Well, North Korea is a different thing, but anyways.
So we have, visa-free regime right now. Russian citizens can enter China without visa for up to 30 days for tourism, business, family visits, cultural exchange, or transit. Very good. Very good. I should go there. My daughter dreams to visit.
Well, let me know how it is.
She dreams to eat Chinese food, so maybe we should try. So right now we have this old Quirky news.
Why do we have Quirky every week?
The news that you sent me yesterday.
Did Lenin get beat up again?
Thanks God, no. But our Matushka...
Before I forget, that Lenin story I forgot from last week, there was more to the story. So not only did he get beat up, and then he doesn't remember what happened, but the local Communist Party tracked down the kids who beat him up and then forced the kids to apologize to him. And then it was after that they all got together and they became friends. But it was okay.
Jesus Christ. Well, you see, they say that there's no opposition in Russia. You see, these communists are protecting their bodies. This stuff can only happen here. Ridiculous. Russian singer Tatiana Kurtulkova, the performer of Matushka Zemlya, has been added to Ukraine's Mirotvorets list.
They've also added like a dozen kids that are like 3 and 5 years old.
Yeah.
Or like basically their parents took them into the region from Russia to visit family or whatever. And now the Ukrainians have added to like their wanted terrorism list children who are like 3 years old and 6 years old. This is the insanity of
It's getting ridiculous, honestly. Which is like, I don't understand why this database still exists, actually. Like, they want to enter Europe. This is basically a hit list. It's literally a hit list, what they do. Anyway, crypto mining scandal.
Profile it under news the Western press will never cover. But okay, yeah. Crypto
Which one?
The Mitrovits and the three.
Mirotvorets? No, they cover it, actually. Not cover, but it is news, actually, but they don't pay attention to that so much.
Yeah, the Western press will never run with it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to the...
Crypto mining scandal in Leningrad region. Railway officials secretly hooked up crypto miners to the rail network's substations.
Mm-hmm.
The rigs allegedly sucked up nearly $1 billion rubles worth of electricity before investigations shut it down.
$1 billion rubles is like... That's like $1 million. No, that's like $1 million.
Around.
Yeah, so $1 million.
More.
Yeah, more net worth exchange rate right now. Yeah, so let's say like $1.3 million. But the thing is, electricity in Russia is cheap.
Insanely, yeah.
So in the West, not even accounting for like PPP or just accounting for electricity costs, this is probably like $15 million of electricity in Western rates, right?
Can you imagine like how much he mined actually?
Well, he may not have cared. He may not have cared if it was a loss because you're not paying the inputs.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually probably a billionaire right now, this guy.
No, I'm saying he may have gotten less Bitcoin or whatever he was mining because it's not a Bitcoin. He may have gotten less than it costed electricity because he was not paying for the electricity. No, He wasn't paying for the electricity.
It doesn't matter.
When you're paying for the electricity, you care that you make a profit. But if the electricity is free, any amount you make is a profit.
But I don't think like he was, no, I mean, what's like cryptocurrency has a price, you know, and it's usually higher than your electricity bills. It just might be not that profitable if your electricity is too expensive, but it still will be profitable.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to point at.
Yeah, well, point taken.
Что? Record-breaking carrot. A woman from Sabotage near St. Petersburg grew a carrot measuring 159 centimeters.
Which is my height. I'm 158 or I'm 158.
No, you're taller. I'm 168. You're way taller than me.
I don't know what I am.
It's basically
like 178, 178.
It's basically the height of my daughter, actually. Longer than the average human length. Yeah, leg. What?
It was like the height of the woman. I feel like, holy kid. I'll try and find the picture. It's really skinny.
Which fertilizers or which GMO she's using? Beer ran in St. Petersburg. On September 21, St. Petersburg will host a 8-kilometer beer run. Runners must stop at 4 checkpoints along the road, each one offering a pint.
Unfortunately, because my pending surgeries, I'm missing out on all these beer events because there have been a lot of them. I miss Baltica Fest, I miss Cider Fest, I've been missing all the beer events. So yeah, interesting, but I can't participate.
Maybe we just go and attend and record the vlogs, see how they're running with this.
Bring me some beer events.
We can grab a non-alcoholic beer, you know.
I'll participate by scooter.
Or we will bring this thing from shop. I will put you in it and I will run with you. Shopping cart, and you will see them like, alcoholic beer.
Lenta.
A man from St. Petersburg picked his nose with his wife's fake nail and ended up in hospital. The nail got detached inside his nostril. He couldn't remove it without medical help. Now the man from St. Petersburg faces a long treatment. Poor guy. This is Russian manicure that they, advertise so much on social media. Guys, be aware. Don't put nails, your wife's nails in your nose. It means we deserve Jesus Christ. Ну что? Well, personal stories. We forgot to record this last time. How was our week? There is an epidemic of flu actually in St. Petersburg. I don't know if you experienced that a little.
It's like flu plus. It's in English. It's acute respiratory viral infection, which is a form of flu, but it's not like COVID, but it's like a bigger flu. It's harder to fight.
There is flu and there is different kind of viral infections. All of us were sick already. My daughter is sick. She still actually has problems. But anyway, half of our school is closed. Not closed, but
all the schools went back. Yeah.
They were discussing even to close for quarantine schools because it's getting out of hand. And it's weird, actually, before flu used to start in December, I think. Right now, it's like they just started to study in September and everyone is sick already. It is so weird.
Well, I guess because it's more contagious than flu. Flu normally gets, more people spend more time indoors. That spreads from families into schools, but since it's a little more contagious, it hit when everybody went back to school.
No, it needs some actually temperature, I think, fluctuations. Okay. So that's how people get viral infections, basically, because it changes, and it's usually endemic season here. If you notice, like when it's winter, harsh winter, people don't get sick that much. When it's spring or it's autumn, because all the bacteria, I think, start to grow at this time. Anyway, we have some kind of epidemic. And mushroom season is here. People are going to forests. My friends are going to forests. And we even have, by the way, news related to that.
My wife's parents do this when they're here, and it's great because they come back with all these fantastic mushrooms, and the mushrooms from the forest here, they're fantastic.
We should go.
And they pickled it. Well, I can't right now, but maybe next year. But they basically, there's a mushroom season here, and people go and they bring back all these exotic mushrooms to the forest, and they're so good. And, we cook them, they pickle them, it's a huge thing here. It's like
the culture.
It's like in the U.S., they have deer hunting. Here we have mushroom
hunting. Yeah.
And people get in fights over mushrooms. They're like, that was my spot.
They're like mushroom electrichkas here, They just go in the morning at like 4 or 5 a.m. and they just...
And then Trichka is the electric train. Yeah. So they have...
They move out of the city and collect... I have a friend who's this crazy mushroom person. She goes every day right now. Every day. She wakes up at 4 and goes at 5.
And these are normal eating mushrooms, although we do have some mushrooms that are slightly happy mushrooms too. but that's a different
You
story.
need to know. You need to know which mushrooms you pick.
So
So
the
that's
mushroom
another
hunters,
point.
they know. They know. They have like competitions. Like, I brought back this many mushrooms, and even like you find the grandmothers and like
And some are getting missing. You see, there's
so that's what's really
61 years old man went missing while foraging for mushrooms near Gatchina. Gatchina is close by to St. Petersburg. Rescuers and volunteers searched for a week.
Dude, for a week he went and got lost, and he's like, "Well, I can't find my way out." So he just kind of planted himself in one spot after not being able to get out and waited for somebody to come find him. So he's in the hospital. It appears he's probably going to be okay, but speedy recovery, I guess.
But yeah, can you imagine to stay in the forest for eight days? No food. In cold. Actually, nights are very cold right now. I can't imagine how
Well, I mean, they are cold. Nights are like 10 degrees right now.
Probably.
10, which in Fahrenheit,
Have you tried to
it's like 50
sleep
degrees.
when it's
Yeah, Bulgarian prison. I know very much what it was like.
It's
We didn't have
awful.
heat. I know what it's like. Yeah, I know. But he didn't have blankets and
Yeah, nothing. Like in the forest, it's actually
Like he covered himself in moss.
61 years old.
cover himself with moss or something. Well, I mean, but he's right.
He's Russian. Yeah, probably had some vodka with him. That would save him actually.
From in front of the bears. The beavers. Did you see the video of the guy sitting on the embankment and a beaver walks up, beaver sitting there, and he starts feeding the beaver snacks?
Nowhere.
Kind of the name was somewhere.
Here?
Yeah. He's just sitting on the embankment and the beaver comes up. And the beaver is in there. And the guy's like, "You want some carrots?" or whatever he was having. And he's just feeding the beaver. And the beaver's just like,
That's more normal to Poland. If you tell me that this has been in Poland, I would believe. We don't have beavers here.
"Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, they're beavers. They post all the time. I think like sometimes the beavers come into the city, especially in the spring, and they get lost. And they're trying to cross the road and they get stuck, and people like picking the beavers up and crossing the road to get across the crosswalks. We very much have beavers here.
I saw these pigs, how they're boars or something.
Yeah, we have those too.
Yeah, but elks,
And moose.
yeah, but
And
I didn't know that they have
oh, yeah.
beavers close
now
by.
we have beavers. In fact, some of the bars here, they serve beaver tail.
Yeah, I've been to one bar
Yeah.
that
So
serve beaver meat, which is actually illegal too, but I guess they farm them or something. It's illegal to hunt here. You need to get a license.
we got anything else, or we're
So that's all. It's just personal stories
cool?
that we didn't share.
Well, my story, I have a back injury. I'm waiting on surgery. Paperwork, which it's not the Russian medical system. The Russian medical system came me right away. But since I have a unicorn status here,
Yeah.
I do have healthcare for emergency things. I have healthcare for routine things. I could even get this, but what I need is kind of specialized. I'm trying to get a certain clinic. And so if I was a Russian citizen, this clinic would take me right away.
Is it private clinic?
No, it's not the normal polyclinic. It's one of the research institutes.
Mm.
So it's not
I see.
private, but if you're not a Russian citizen, you're second tier.
They don't take
So-
you.
Yeah, if I get really bad, because right now I'm being mandated, if I get really bad, I can go straight to the state hospital and they will do it. But I'm trying to get into this clinic, and so we're trying to resolve that.
Yeah, it's a complicated system here in Russia. Like we have
But
polyclinics where
I
you
want
can
to be
just
clear. I want to be clear. If the surgery, if I decide I need the surgery right now, the public clinics will take me and they'll do a fine job. But it's something I never did. It's quite specialized. It's quite advanced, and the public hospitals are certainly capable of it. But also, the surgery speaks English, and so I'm just, for convenience for me, it's a lot easier for me to go through this research institute, which is a public institution. But just because I'm not a Russian citizen, I'm not on the main list.
Yeah, research institute is basically also governmental places where usually severe cases or complicated cases are transferred because the best doctors work there,
Yeah.
like people who actually write.
So my
Papers,
case
no?
is because of my document. If I was a Russian citizen, I'd be right in. And I'm trying to resolve it. I have the help. I have people really, I have friends. And so I have people going to bat for me, and I'm sure it's going to get resolved.
I hope so. That you
Yeah,
will sort it out.
Yeah. So
Actually,
worst case, I could always go to the normal clinics if I really had to. So there's nothing wrong with them, but just, it's my Russian going in for this kind of surgery. I'd really prefer somebody who speaks English on this level.
no,
But for
no.
normal things, I do go to the polyclinic. For normal things, my broken foot, things like that. I mean, I speak enough Russian to get by, but
In Russia,
when you're
there's
going
difference.
when
Like,
you're going in for a deep surgery like this, it's just a little bit.
there's difference also. Like polyclinic, it's just only for it's like clinics.
Yeah, but
basically,
they
where you
refer
just
you up.
visit,
Mhm.
and there are hospitals where they actually perform different kind of surgeries.
But I've gone to the
and
hospitals too for like my foot and stuff.
No, that's another thing.
Yeah, broken foot. So I mean, I've gone to the hospitals too. Yeah.
It's like when they need to do some procedures. Polyclinic is only for like visiting doctors.
Yeah, the polyclinic.
Therapy.
But the polyclinic, it's the polyclinic's not just general practitioners. It's like they have specialists, there's neurologists. And so if you go for surgery, you go to the polyclinic and they will refer you up to surgery. And the
Or if you
polyclinic.
have minor surgery, like I had a bullet here in my ear stuck. So I just went
had a bullet?
Yeah, I had a bullet in my ear.
A bullet?
Yeah.
Somebody shoot you?
Yes. I have the story. Everyone is shocked.
Was it a bullet or a BB or what?
No, really bullet. There was a guy with a rifle. In the village. They gave it to a small kid, 9 years old. And I was just riding.
It was like a 22 or something.
20 years. It was.
No, we call it, no, there's a size of the bullet we call it 22.
Small, it's small with lead.
Like a 22.
Inside. Yeah, it's small against ducks or something.
Yeah, it's probably a 22. Yeah, these were small games.
Yeah, so I was just riding a motorcycle with my friend, and this little guy, 10 years old, decided to shoot. And he shot me here. I have even a scar here, if you can see.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was living with this bullet for so many years. I didn't know that there's lead.
It reminds me when I was a lead. Yeah.
Lead.
Reminds me when I was in high school, and I had these two friends, and I was talking to them, and they were talking about something. I was like, remember the time he shot me? I'm like, what? Apparently, and they shot his friend in the foot. I'm like, okay. But it was like, but it had happened years before, so they were joking about it. Like, remember the time he shot me?
You see?
Okay. So
in Russia, a kid shoot you.
So Derek, I remember that story.
So that's all for today.